Hey there, Steve Schirmer here at Silk Road Catalyst. Is it legitimate or illegitimate for a foreign missionary to go into a foreign country as a businessman, an educator, a doctor, or in any other field that you can think of? Is it legitimate for us to do it? Is it essential? So this is the topic I want to dive into today. But before I do, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that when we drop new content, you'll know. Now let's get started. Just to be clear, I want to make sure you understand where I'm coming from. So in this video, I am not talking about missionaries who can go to countries who are friendly toward us. I'm talking about those of us who serve in countries who are hostile or unfriendly toward foreign missionaries. Now back to my original question, is it legitimate for a missionary to enter a foreign country under the auspices of business, medicine, education, or some other platform as we like to call them? Is it legitimate for us to do that, especially those of us who live and serve in a foreign country hostile toward missionaries? Well, the simple answer is yes. And is it essential? Well, for many of us, absolutely. But is it also illegitimate? Well, that largely depends on the missionary and their approach to platforms. So if I go to one of these unfriendly countries as a missionary and I tell them I'm there to do business, education, medicine, or something else, and I actually do those things within the scope of their law, then yes, my presence through these platforms is legitimate. But if I go to the same country and declare that I'm there to do the same vocation, business, medicine, education, or whatnot, but my intention is never to do those things, or I'm only there to do it enough to make it look like I'm doing it, then my presence becomes illegitimate. Now, as a disclaimer, both sets of missionaries deeply care about the gospel. They both believe that the gospel message is the most important message, and we need to do everything possible to get that message out. The difference between the two camps is one believes we need to go in truthfully, and what we say we're there to do, we need to do it. The other side generally believes, based on my experience, that we only say those things to get in so we can preach the gospel. Well, as you can tell, I have issues with that approach. And that is largely why I wrote the book that I wrote, Legitimacy in Missions Matters. Now, I could give you dozens of examples for both legitimate and illegitimate platforms that I have seen over the last 20 years. But I'm just going to let you read about some of those in my book. But for today, I want to propose this idea, this train of thought, and just let you think about that. And hopefully that will help you see where I'm coming from. Let's pretend something together that I'm going to use with America as my backdrop, since I'm in America and I'm here. Now, if you're not from the US, just replace America with the name of your country and just try to follow along with my example and apply it to your situation. Now, there's this non-Christian missionary. They come from a Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, or some other religious background. They come to America with the primary goal of sharing their religious beliefs with Christians in America. Now, because it's the United States, it is possible, now I don't know how difficult it might be, but I know it's possible that they could come here on a religious visa. And so there's no need to make up another platform or to create one. They could come here as a missionary. But let's say they don't. Let's say they come in as business people because they don't really want us to know who they are. So they come as a business person and they move into your neighborhood, which you could say, let's just pretend that the majority of people in your neighborhood largely identify themselves as Christian. And so they move into your neighborhood and they're going door to door, sharing about their faith, handing out literature, and doing all the things that missionaries do. And since the person in this scenario made up the story about being in the U.S. For business purposes, I guess the big question is, would we trust this person when all we see them doing is sharing their faith and not doing business? And so like this hypothetical situation of the missionary from another faith coming to the U.S. and to your neighborhood, Why should the people that we're going to serve trust us and believe us and even listen to us when we share the gospel if we're coming into their territory, into their country under false pretenses? And if the locals we're trying to serve found out about our false pretenses, the likelihood is they won't listen to us when we share the gospel, even though we're preaching the truth. And this is a big reason why I wrote the book, Legitimacy in Missions Matters. And in my book, I deal with 3 key areas, with the first one being the Rahab approach. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about what it is, but it is basically the approach that is used by missionaries who believe it is okay to go in foreign countries and not do what we claim we are there to do, like business, education, studying, and so forth. The second area, I deal with what I call the 5 marks of legitimacy. And these are just 5 concepts that I believe help missionaries create legitimacy while they're on the mission field. And in the third area of my book, I discuss what legitimacy is not and what it doesn't prevent. So what the book is intended to do is to help you pursue legitimacy in your context. Because every missionary in every country, in every state or province, in every city are all under different circumstances. So what your legitimacy looks like may be different from mine. But regardless of what legitimacy ultimately looks like in our individual lives and ministries, I do believe wholeheartedly that every missionary should be pursuing legitimacy in their ministry. So to get your copy of my free ebook, I invite you to go to our website at silkroadcatalyst.com/legitimacy to submit your request. And I also invite you to share your thoughts on this subject in the comment section below. And if you found this subject matter to be interesting or thought-provoking, then I encourage you to share this video with your friends, especially your church and those involved in global missions. And let's work together to raise awareness that legitimacy in missions matters, because the gospel matters. See you next time.